Okay, so everybody had a bit of a break now, and we have two more authors to go. It's funny how quickly time goes, and just had great talks and getting to know everybody, and so much more experiences to go. So I'm going to introduce the next speaker now, Aviva Mayers. Her book, If Only I Had Known, Integrative and Alternative Paths to Recovery from Breast Cancer. Aviva, being a psychoanalyst and psychotherapist in private practice in Toronto. If Only I'd Known is essential reading for anyone diagnosed with breast cancer. It provides a unique perspective on treatments that your doctor may not tell you about. Knowing about these options could improve your life both physically and psychologically. So, without further ado, Aviva, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, and thanks for organizing this. Unlike Jonathan, I do have a script. I'm a better writer than I am a public speaker. So as Jonathan said in the introduction, this is a book about breast cancer, and it's really about all cancers or many cancers. It's a book about options for treatment, options for treatment, management, and prevention of breast cancer and other cancers, both within mainstream medicine and in the alternative and integrative world. It's a book about how to tend to the soil in which cancer grows and prevent getting those cancers in the first place. It promotes your role, as with Jane's speech, your own role in healing, while also presenting and discussing scientific research. This is the book. The book, If Only I Had Known, captures what I felt after a year of grueling treatment for breast cancer 17 years ago. If only I had known what I came to know after researching and writing this book, I would have made different choices for my own treatment. And maybe I wouldn't even have come down with breast cancer in the first place. Many interventions I speak about in this book are relevant for men as well as women. For example, hormone imbalance contributes to many sexual hormone cancers, such as breast, ovarian, prostate. So balance your hormones. An inflammatory process generates tumors in many different cancers. So find a way to keep your inflammation down in your body. When you hear the word cancer, the options you probably are most familiar with are surgery, chemo, and radiation. And you probably have heard horror stories about the debilitating side effects of toxic chemo in particular. Well, you may not know you have many more options than your doctor commonly discusses with you. If you ever receive a diagnosis of cancer, make sure to research those options within mainstream medicine and in the alternative world. You have time. Cancer generally takes 10 to 15 years to show itself as a tumor. Now, a little about writing this book. When I returned to Canada from Norway, where I had been living with my ex-husband, a friend suggested I enroll in the familial breast cancer study at Women's College Hospital. Familial because my mother had had breast cancer and had 3 subsequent recurrences. Despite that, she lived an active and healthy life in many ways until 98, attributing her long life to the health, despite the many health challenges, to avoiding doctors' orders to do chemo and to her daily use of propolis, a bee product that boosts the immune system and that is made from resin from a tree in which the bees inject their saliva. Now back to my story. When I was diagnosed 17 years ago, the shocking news came a year after my marriage suddenly ended. It had been a bleak time for me, and 2 weeks after a routine hospital visit, followed by numerous hospital tests, the doctor interrupted my busy workday, calling me from her cottage. I didn't expect this, she said, but it's cancer. Me and cancer, it didn't fit. You always think bad things happen to other people. By the way, it is well known that cancer diagnoses often follow a major life stress event. Though I had doubts about the standard treatment that I was offered, I reluctantly opted for radiation and chemo after surgery, out of fear and ignorance, really. Like a deer in the headlights, I was ill prepared. and looked to authority for the answers, and the authority in this case were the oncologists. However, the truth is that doctors can't keep up with the rapidly changing information, and they're often blinded by the pharmaceutical companies. If I had paid attention to the statistics they threw at me, for example, that chemo only makes a difference in the single digits, or that radiation doesn't prevent a distant recurrence, I might have chosen differently. As my treatment progressed and I felt increasingly debilitated, my doubts grew about these harsh treatments, decimating my immune system with terrible toxins like radiation and chemo when my immune system was already so compromised that I got cancer in the first place just did not make sense to me. So I felt I had to look elsewhere to repair the damage and bolster my ailing immune system. By the way, I don't know if you know, but chemo is derived from mustard gas, and it was adopted by the pharmaceutical companies after the Second World War, but it had been used during the bombing campaigns in southern Italy in World War I, and it was noticed that people got sick and died because their immune systems were so decimated, and their DNA had been altered in the process, which is what it does to us as well in some cases. So this tells you about how toxic it is. So I continued on my journey and I read remarkable stories of recoveries like Suzanne Summers' book on integrative and alternative practitioners in the US. And I pondered the questions that these books raised about conventional cancer treatments. Breast cancer and other cancers have reached epidemic proportions, but there is still much uncertainty about their treatments and how to cure them. I came to the realization that whatever kind of cancer you have, it's a systemic problem. It's not a local one like breast, prostate, colon, whatever. You've got to change the soil, back to the soil in which the cancer grew with diet, supplementation, lifestyle, hormones, attending to dental issues, and so on. So my wish to inform other women about the many gentler options for recovery and prevention planted the seeds for this book. And also, the journey was part of my journey to get back to feeling strong again. I realized there was no such book in Canada, and I began by interviewing patients who incorporated alternative treatments in their recovery, as well as professionals working in the fields of cancer who had thoughts on the origins of cancer, the utility of traditional, alternative, and integrative interventions, and their thoughts on how not to get cancer in the first place. The book took me 8 years to write in my spare time, and it took me halfway around the world to meet and be treated by a Chinese traditional doctor in Hong Kong. The more I wrote and informed myself, the better I felt, and the more control I felt psychologically over this elusive disease. As I wrote and rewrote, my little puppy, Sweet Pea, lay beside me with this watchful eye. He grew into an adult, then a senior, until he finally succumbed to cancer as the writing of the book finally came to an end. I'm now going to read a few sections from the book, a few selections from the book, to give you a brief flavor of preventive measures that you can take in your mouth. One of the many things I learned from my naturopath while doing my research was the importance of attending to oral health. Teeth are an oft-neglected area that can contribute to disease in various organs in the body, and not an area that I had ever thought much about beforehand. Oral health and general health are inseparable. The mouth is the gateway through which infection enters the rest of your body. Bleeding gums are one doorway for bacteria to enter. Did you know that we have more bacteria in our mouths than any animal mouth? And oral bacteria that enters the rest of the body can diminish our immune system and damage organs like the heart and the lungs. Oral bacteria has been found in pancreatic cancer, in the brains of Alzheimer's patients, and people with diabetes with good oral health have better glucose readings. Traditional Chinese medicine notes that teeth are on acupuncture meridians related to different organs in your body. Studies have found a smorgasbord of heavy metals used in dentistry, such as nickel, chromium, cadmium, and mercury, in the breast tissue of women with breast cancer. So one of the first things that I did was to remove my amalgam fillings, that silver stuff that dentists used to always fill teeth with in the past, and some still do. It's 50% mercury, and it off-gases for life. So how many people in this room have silver fillings? One person. You have silver fillings. According to some studies, mercury from dental amalgam fillings is the #1 source of mercury exposure in humans. It exceeds any residue that we ingest from fish. Mercury vapors are triggered when we drink hot liquids or we eat, or if the temperature in the mouth is over 14 degrees, as it always is. Chewing things like seeds, nuts, gum, grinding, clenching, they can all cause amalgam to release vapors, which are then inhaled into your lungs, or they enter your body through mucous membranes and blood. Studies have found that after chewing, people with amalgam fillings have more than 20 times more mercury vapor in their mouths than those without mercury fillings. Drilling amalgam out is another route that mercury gets into your body. Once pulverized through drilling, it travels through blood, mucous membranes, or by being inhaled directly into the lungs and making its way to brain, liver, kidneys, fatty tissue, and it's harder there for the body to get rid of it. So the removal process, the process of having this silver filling removed is really important, because in 30 seconds, the mercury vapors can affect your thyroid if your thyroid isn't protected. So be sure, if you have it taken out, to have a dentist with proper equipment have it do the removal process. Root canals are another loaded issue. How many people have root canals here? I've got a root canal. If a root canal is performed, the infection in the tooth is cleaned, disinfected, and sealed. But many articles report that it's impossible to adequately clean out the millions of side canals or the dentin tubules around the root canal. Therefore, the root canal remains chronically infected. Leftover toxins are able then to travel down through the gum, ligament, bone, and bloodstream to organs and to various tissues around the body, possibly contributing to an inflammatory process, which an inflammation can produce tumors. That's how tumors are produced. Dental implants have become very popular these days when a tooth has to be extracted. Does anybody have a dental implant here? Nobody? A dental implant exercises the jawbone and stops it disintegrating. In the past, titanium implants were commonly used, but the newest generation of implants from zirconium are the most biocompatible. But some medical practitioners believe that an implant is a foreign body and therefore can generate an inflammation, including my mother's oncologist, who told her never to have a dental implant. So just to conclude, remember, you are, as Jane has already talked about, you are a central ingredient in your sense of wellness, and exploring the many possibilities that your doctor may not tell you about will promote good health. Tending to your soil in this way will contribute to your psychological and physical well-being. Thank you. I just want to make an announcement separate from this, that I am part of Writers and Editors Network of Canada. It's a group that meets once a month for a breakfast meeting. And we love to have aspiring writers and people that have published books come and join us once a month for this breakfast meeting. It's held in Six Points Plaza near Islington Station. You can get there by subway to Islington Station. And we have guest speakers that come, people that have published books every month. So, you know, we would love it if anybody is interested in joining. If you are, come and see me about it